On today's episode, we have the great PUJA PARIKH, and she gives us great insight on what women want, what men expect, the 5 qualities or traits that men look for in women attributes when seeking a lifelong partner, and the modern day question, which is, are women being raised to be wife material, wifeys? If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools to allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Happy Monday.
Yes.
Monday. Hey, Jeff, what's going on, brother? Jeff's from afar right now. He's actually quarantined.
Thanks, man. Life is good.
Life's good. He's quarantined. I think he just made an excuse. He didn't want to come over here because of bike week. He was like, nah, I don't want to deal with that traffic.
Probably because the gas is so high.
That's true.
That is true. But you're damn right. I'm not trying to ride through that. It gets crazy out there during bike week.
Very crazy.
So, one of the awesome things that happened this weekend was Batman.
Oh,
did any of you see it? I know Ray saw it. We had this debate. Jeff, you haven't seen it yet, and I think this should be like a prelude to you going to see it. Ray and I trying to convince you to go see it. What do you think?
Oh,
what do you think, Ray? Should we try to convince him to see it? Because you're over here, you're against it. I mean,
no. I'm not against it.
Okay.
I even did something that you would think was unexpected.
Okay, like what?
Because when I first saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't like superly. I wasn't. Is that a word? Superly? I wasn't.
I think we can let it slide. Superly.
I wasn't very happy the way it went down.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So I went and I watched it again.
Mm-hmm. Wow, you got a second dose.
I did.
No. I want to hear. Let's hear your first impression of it.
I wanted to be.
Red got you to the point where you like, all right. I gotta feel his energy because he's on 8.5. Like,
yes, I wanted
to get there, and so you went to go see it again.
Because it's like a first date. You go out on the first date, and something happens when you're like, oh, this wasn't a good date, but you felt like it could have been a great date, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, it has so much potential. Maybe I missed something. I don't know. Maybe I just went in the right mode or the right mood. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go back and watch it again. I'm gonna waste 3 hours. So I went back and I watched it again.
When you
right?
go in with the mindset, I'm going to waste 3 hours.
Because it's 3 hours. I got a lot of things to do in life, 3 hours. Okay. It's 3 hours. Respect. So I went in there. Respect. Listen. I like the Batman. I think the Batman is amazing. I think Catwoman is amazing. I mean, those 2 characters are amazing to me. Like, they were great. Batman looked the part. He kind of played the part as well. Catwoman played her part. Alfred was a letdown to me. I didn't like the Alfred character, because I didn't know if he was a butler. Was he an assistant? I didn't know if he was the accountant. I'm just maybe I'm spoiling the movie for some people, but I didn't know what Alfred was in the movie. We all know who Alfred is from the past, from past shows, but in this movie, I couldn't tell what Alfred was. I really couldn't. At the same time, I loved Detective Gordon. He was great. But as far as the movie, I mean, it was dark, very dark. I mean, it was like dark the whole time, and there wasn't enough action for me. for it to be 3 hours. I mean, that's a long time to be sitting, and then like to not have enough action to keep me stimulated. It just was a letdown to me.
No, they actually sell pills for that. They're blue. If you need more time being stimulated, I need it. Let me tell you guys, this dude. So you backpedaled, and I'm glad you actually went. And before you probably didn't want to get crucified.
No, I wanted to be objective. I really, because I can be real negative real quick, pessimistic.
I know that,
all that, but I wanted to be
I'm
objective.
Just saying, dude, 6 hours vested. I props to you. Props.
No, I told you I want to go back and see it. I said, he was like, "Oh, you want to go back and see?" You remember the jokes he was cracking? Oh, you want to go back and see?
Dude, you loved it, and he wasn't like super sold on it. So I think it takes even more gusto to be like, "All right, you know what? Maybe I didn't give this a fair shake. I'm gonna go back and watch it a second time."
I'm a huge Batman fan.
Which also let us know that Ray is a second date kind of guy, even if the first date didn't go according to plan.
The first, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
No, he said second date.
No. I said if the first date didn't go, I was saying, if the first date didn't go as planned, yeah, he's an expensive date. Though. Shit. You got to be a one and done. You got to figure it out.
You know what else? You know, all the good parts were in the commercials.
I mean, but that's what they do these days.
No, man, come on.
No, I don't like the fact that trailers sell too much, and I think it has to do with this generation that they need to be they need almost everything. Like look at TikTok, everything on TikTok's a trailer. Like I told you, beginning, middle, end, quick. So I think that's what they do.
Nah, man, let's be fair. You don't get to hide behind that after having 3 hours worth of film, bro. 3 hours is a lot of time to get some additional sequences in there. Or whoever was managing the trailer probably should have done a better job as far as not like putting everything out there up front.
Exactly.
It's a money grab. I agree with you though. It is a money grab.
I don't think everything was given though.
What?
Okay.
Everything was given?
Yes.
Really? Not that car chase. That car chase was awesome.
The climax was on there.
Look, I'm so like your words of choice, stimulation, climax is not for me.
Don't you always say this is an adult show?
Yeah, second date I can't do it at one time. But like, oh, Ray,
what's up, bro?
We talking about
Reggie said this this is an adult show, right? That's what Reggie says all the time.
No, you're right. You're right. Let the world know, Ray. Let the world know.
I didn't say an adult show like that. But no, Jeff, I think I highly recommend you go see it because it was true to the animated series, like showing Batman almost. So it goes back to, let's say, remember the show with Adam West, and he worked with the actual cops.
Okay,
so it had that in it. Without the slappy stuff.
When you say Adam West, you mean the Batman that was flaunting around in the satin cape and drawing on eyebrows? That
yes, but I'm saying as far as his relationship with the cops, I'm saying his relationship with the cops. He worked with the cops. It wasn't just like Gordon.
That's
he was
not the reference.
He would walk into the scene and him and Robin.
He had drawn on eyebrows, bro. Even as a kid, I loved Batman. And
it was purple. Actually, his cowl was purple. It wasn't even black. It was purple, huh? You said, why Batman what?
Why Batman out of shape?
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay, so anyway, so it had that that aspect to it, as well as the animated series back in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, which was one of the best series ever.
Which series? Which one? There was a few of them, weren't there?
Yeah, wasn't it like Batman series? I don't know, Batman animated series. I don't know what the actual name was. Jeff, you know what I'm talking about. We used to watch that stuff religiously because it had a really dope Joker in there too.
I've watched all the Batman animated series, so.
Well, yeah, they I mean, they're pretty good, but it was that one in the mid to late 90s that, like I said, it resonated with it kind of like mirrored this in a sense, along with the Adam West type of relationship with Gordon and the police force.
Did you know who the Penguin was before you looked him up?
No, well, they kept spoiling it every time. So they were like, "Oh, Colin Farrell's the Penguin." I was like, "Oh, for real?" This is like last year. This was like last year when they showed the trailer.
I didn't know until after I went and looked it up. I was like, "Oh my god!" I didn't even makeup.
Yeah, he was actually
the makeup was great,
really good. Yeah,
we're gonna have to bleep over that just so you're not ruining it for anybody else. Right?
I know. Well, I guess you can say I don't think that's ruining it because the fact of the matter is they're actors. They're gonna look who's in the film.
You could not even tell.
Ray, was that a pleasant surprise after watching the movie and being like, "Oh snaps! I didn't know that was him."
Yes, because I mean,
I was just looking for that confirmation so we could let Reg know he ruined it for a couple of people.
I didn't ruin anything for nobody.
The acting was so good that I couldn't. And the makeup guy, whoever did the makeup, it was amazing because I could not tell that was Colin at all.
Really? Yeah.
It's crazy. What happened to Colin? Like he was like the it dude for a minute, and like I can't think of the last major movie that I've seen him in. What about you guys?
What was the last movie?
My point exactly.
Yeah. I think COVID got him.
No, he was in I think he was like the bad guy in like wasn't he like a bad guy in one of them Harry Potter series movies?
Was he?
One like the prequel movies? He's like a bad guy.
I have no clue. The Harry Potter.
Oh, you're talking about not Harry Potter. You're talking about Beasts and whatever. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, and
Incredible,
I think you're right.
Amazing Beast or something. Beautiful Beast.
Yeah, something like that.
But isn't that a prequel to Harry Potter?
Yeah,
I have no clue.
I think so.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there you go, buddy. I am thoroughly impressed.
Right.
Actually, and so that's what Ray and I did this weekend, and Ray did it twice. What did you get? How was your weekend, Jeff?
As you can see, I'm not there with you fellas, and that's because this weekend was very eventful, but in the opposite direction. We were in close proximity to a family member who tested positive for COVID. And because of that, we are doing the quarantine thing.
Wow.
And, no shade. I'm happy that we found out in a timely manner. And more importantly, I'm glad that we were able to get that family member to the hospital because otherwise I don't know if he goes. So all things considered, things played out very well. But that's why I'm here. You guys are over there. I gotta tell you, man, on this camera, you guys look outstanding.
Really?
I gotta step my camera game up. I look grainy.
Yeah, I was gonna say you gotta get a ring light. Get that ring light. Gotta get that ring light. It's the ring light, man.
Hey, since we look so good, I want you guys to know that we do some merchandise for the Bro-RantZ. I'm actually wearing one of our Bro-RantZ shirts right now. So
I meant to wear the hat.
Yeah, this is the one that Reggie gave me.
Ralph,
Ralph
Lauren, you owe me.
But we do have merchandise for Bro-RantZ if you guys want to buy it. We got hoodies, T-shirts, hats, whatever you guys need, we got you.
Absolutely.
Look at Ray with the plug, yo.
He is the plug.
Applause.
Follow us
on
Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Bro-RantZ,
Spotify.
You ain't even representing.
Podcast,
YouTube, all that.
Yes, sir. What I was gonna say. So remember, we had this conversation. Jeff and I were here. Ray, you were doing Bill Belichick things.
Winning, trying to win championships.
Yeah, trying to win championships, getting robbed. At the championship game. We had this question posed. Do you think women are being raised to be wifey material, being wives, and by that, not being too broad, it goes into the are they too independent so much that they don't feel like they need a man, but are they provide homemakers? Are they cooks? Do they clean? Jeff and I had our perspective. We want to see what your perspective is.
So I think from my perspective that it depends on what your idea of a wife is. So if you're thinking of a woman from like the 1960s and 70s where you want her to be a stay-at-home woman and cook and clean and you're going to be the provider, if that's your idea of a wifey material, then no, I don't think so. And then if you're looking for a woman who's, like you said, more independent, more opinionated.
Yeah. I never even said that. I never even said opinionated.
You didn't say that?
Now you can tell Ray don't like his woman to speak. He's like, don't even have a fucking thought. Shit. Yo, Ray was like, what you say? Yo, this dude turned into Ike. What love got to do with it, Tina?
No,
yeah.
I don't mind. I actually like that. But I think that's the way that is going towards nowadays. And women today aren't having that. They're not. They go to work. Sometimes they're the breadwinners. So to think that we're gonna, and they're also opinionated. They have their own ideas. and so why should we say that isn't a wife? Because they want to be the breadwinners, or they have something to say, or they don't want to be at home cooking and cleaning. I know personally 2 people that I know personally where their wives are the breadwinners, and the guys stay at home for sure.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. Sign me up. Well, actually, we have a special guest.
You have a problem, like, Red. So if it came down to it, right?
What's
and, Wifey steps to you and says, look, I make more than enough money to support our family.
Uh-huh.
I know you got your own, like, hobbies and dreams. Like, yo, just do you. I'll take care of like the main income, take care of the bills and stuff.
All right.
And we should still be good. Would you feel some kind of way about that?
Like what? Like my
having
prayers have been answered. A kept man.
Be like the sole breadwinner.
Look, like my prayers have been answered. I'm a kept man. No. The hell are you talking about?
I think it depends on the product.
I'm just checking.
On the what?
I think it depends. I agree with you, Jeff. I think it depends on the way they're raised.
Okay.
Their pride. Mm-hmm. Their own self-worth as well.
You talking about as far as the men?
The men, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, these days, men are pretty open to that. I've got no problem. Hey, babe, you want to run it? Well, I will be the stay-home hubby.
Does that make you husband material?
It does, because I'll clean my cooking. If she likes, I'll cook a little 2 dishes I got in my bag.
That's right. Shut that mouth up. Go cook and clean.
Dude, it's hilarious.
Like, yo, I'm here for comfort and 2 dishes. Anything after that, maybe jokes. Anything after that, you on your own.
Did you hear Ray and what Ray was saying? Look, I told you this man be beating people, be beating women. No. Shut up. Shut your mouth. Make my dinner. Where my underwears? Anime? Where my underwears? Where my whites? Where my tiny whites? Yo, to help us. Anime. So to help us with this, guys, we have a special guest, which is PUJA, PTP. Ray, what does it stand for?
PUJA, Trivedi, PARIKH.
Thank you. Yes. Welcome back. Nice to see you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's the first time PUJA's ever been on our camera.
That's true.
Yeah. So first time you giving us face.
That's right. I just realized that myself. My gosh.
Yeah, we should have had you on sooner though, as far as your face. We should have had you on.
Oh, well, thank you.
I appreciate
that's a compliment.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So PUJA,
just for clarification.
Yeah, exactly. So PUJA, we had you do some research. We came to you. We had a question because we saw it on TikTok, or I saw it on YouTube Shorts, and it was a great question. It had to do more so like as far as dealing with culture and ethnic groups, as far as are women being raised to be wifey material, or are they just being raised to be too independent? And from that, other things stem, like your research and stuff like that. Ray came had some other stuff as well. Jeff had a thesis that he wrote in the Slack chat. Look at Jeff.
Just wanted to provide some context, man.
You did, because it opens up, a lot of room for conversation on different topics. It leads to different things. So, PUJA, with that said, what do you have for us with this touchy topic?
Yeah, I think so. That's a really good way to put it, touchy topic, because I think it, even amongst women, there's really not we don't fully understand or appreciate or accept like what a woman should be, right? Like there's studies done on how men and women kind of look at competition. So like women will do it in less violent means. They don't want confrontation, but there's other ways where they'll gather people to kind of, ostracize a person that did something to break the girl code, for example. Or I'm sure men have that too, but in a different way. So I think one of the biggest things is the fact that we're here in 2022 and still talking about there needing to be like a box to check for if you're a wife, this should be a role, or wifey material, husband material. I think that is a big thing. But what I found was women actually long term, they tend to look for men that are funny, that was like a number one trait that I found.
Oh, yeah.
Ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I looked at some studies where they did some surveys, and I'll see if I can send you guys a link if you want to post them. None of this, by the way, is my research, so I can share my own personal experiences with couples that I've seen. But in terms of traits, women tend to look at long-term mates. Now, there was one that did short-term and long-term mates. So in the short term, women were able to look at a picture and decide what they were okay with in terms of the values that they're willing to compromise. And they were willing to do that if for short-term mates, looks was number one. For longer-term mates, though, longer-term mates, somebody that made them laugh was number one. And, ambitious, was passionate about something, had a career, financially stable, or at least had sort of a stability to offer.
Yeah.
And looks were number 4 or 5 out of the top 5 in that survey.
Really?
And so women, tend to look for more stability, and that's, more like biological. If you look at like prehistoric humans, like when we're cave people, right? Like there were men that were hunters and women that were the gatherers, and women had to secure like the strongest mate for her to survive and for her offspring to survive. So you're going to have children, right? We're still carrying those conditioned traits through evolution, right? That hasn't gone away in my opinion, and from what I've seen. But men, though, as much as I think times have changed, the values really haven't changed much in terms of what they seek in a wife versus like, God, women are going to kill me for using this, side piece, or like,
nice, go all in on this Monday. That's what I'm talking about.
People use that term. I grew up hearing it, so
we're just never scared.
In 2022, we still got side pieces, huh?
I know. There's yet no words for men. There's like mistress, side piece, right? So it's sort of like it's okay, right? For men, though, being a woman being faithful was one of the top qualities that came up across surveys and studies I saw. But the other interesting thing was it was women who shared values, so either religion or what they want to accomplish in life. Were family oriented. Those were very big. And looks were, of course, on the list that they found in their eyes, women that were attractive. But the cons, interestingly, is that they also, I don't know, guys, do you guys want like this mirage or this thing? It's just somebody who doesn't,
doesn't cook, doesn't clean, doesn't what?
Doesn't do, doesn't check in, is okay with like the guy doing whatever he wants, doesn't, somebody actually, a couple of people's responses were, it doesn't check my phone. That's a different issue. You should be doing that anyway. We're talking about trust. But then again, it's not there. Loyalty was big. Loyalty, family-centered. So those are things like, women that were good with taking care of the kids or able to support the man. So that hasn't changed very much over the course of ever since the world.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I think from your research and just in general, I think men are pretty simplistic. Like I think we are simple, and our goals have not changed. We're willing to still be the provider, the protector, the hunter, as you put it. And as long as women, there's a woman at home that's either I hate to say it, cooking, cleaning, not as far as that, but I'm saying being the home taker, you know what I'm saying? Being the home taker, you know what I mean?
Navigating.
No. I'm saying in generally. I'm saying generally. So let's say, for instance, I'll ask you a personal question. Since you're married, did your husband and you have like, put to the table, like, hey, these are the traits I want. This is what I'm expecting from this relationship. I'm expecting this of you. And you said, this is what the traits and qualities I'm expecting from you as far as if we go further into this?
We didn't. We were young. Like I was super young when we met and got married, so we actually didn't really kind of have that conversation. But through the course of our relationship, expectations, I think, just sort of made their way into it, and we just kind of adjusted. If something was a problem, we addressed it. To this day, like we both share childcare responsibilities. In fact, I think on some days he does more.
Oh, really?
He likes to, I mean, things have changed since we got married.
They were like 5 years into the marriage, and he was like, "Babe, you hot, but do you cook?"
It's like, I noticed those takeout boxes over there.
He's like, "Damn, you hot, but sometimes I want some breakfast."
I gotta use a phone.
I wonder how much TV and videos play in a part of our decisions as well, though, because we're taught at a young age, as far as we watch our parents, see how they do things from previous years. But if you watch still TV shows today, men are still the providers, women are still like the stay at home. And you have a few shows where it's different, but for the most part, it's still generally the same. So I wonder how much that plays into our thoughts as far as that's how it's going to be, as how it should be.
Oh, well, the media has always played influenced us. It's just, it's a social thing.
Yeah, of course.
Just like now, I think the social aspect of it, which is the social media, is making it seem like to me, man, I look and I'm like, man, God bless people that have to be in relationships these days, because it's like you're getting a facade. You're getting a mirage. You're getting something that's not real. Because you see these amazing pictures, and God knows that person doesn't look like that, and they're having the best day, and they're in, and all they have is, women are more, and I guess guys have always been whatever, but women are more like open about sharing body parts. You know what I'm saying? Like, men traditionally want a woman.
Reg, explain.
What are you saying, Reggie?
No, like I'm talking about as far as bikini. I'm talking about butt. I'm talking about.
Turn. Yes, please.
No,
please
because
explain.
I mean, like, as far as I went to the gym, so look at me in my leggings. Hey, look, I'm working on my butt, my gluteus maximus, and it's like they are putting their stuff on. And I'm not just talking about women. I'm saying they're putting their stuff on front blast. You know what I mean? They're just putting it out there, and it's like, I know men are like, okay, we may say whatever we want, like, oh yeah, we want the hottest woman or whatever, blah blah blah, but a trophy. But at the end of the day, when it comes to like, can you handle it? It's like, no, we become real conservative. Like, whoa, babe, I know it's 90 degrees out there, but you think you can wear a turtleneck today? Because we've just become that, like, whoa, I guess we become territorial, right? So these days it's like,
because you catch feelings
so out there. Yeah, but I'm saying, imagine dating out now where everything's already, like, everyone's seen it before they even purchased it, seen or touched it or anything. You know what I mean? It used to be, what was the term? Don't give up milk. What, the cow, the milk, whatever. I know one of you guys know that.
Don't give. What is it? Don't give away the milk
for
before
free. Yeah, something for free. Yeah, without buying the cow.
Or what is it, like, you can't buy the car without a test drive?
Something like that. And let me tell you, they're giving test drives, like, boom, like, you get a test drive, you get some milk. That's what it is now, because everyone sees it out there. And I mean, I know it's like liberating and independence, but God, like I said.
Here's the thing, Reg, right? Here's the thing. So first you mentioned that, men tend to be a bit more simplistic as far as what we're looking for. But is there a connection between simplistic and realistic, right? So I guess that would be the first question that I pose. Like, just because we take somewhat of a laid back approach to what we're looking for, does that still mean that what we're looking for is realistic, and does it apply to what's going on today or to the person that holds your attraction? And I guess the next thing is, if I had to ask, is it a bad thing to maybe want a relationship where you have a wife that stays at home, that maybe doesn't mind cooking and cleaning? Like, is that demeaning to be looking for that? Is that a reflection of a dated thought process? Or is that just mean that you have to sift that much harder through the pack to find someone that's willing to give that to you? I'm curious. What's your thoughts on that?
You're talking to PUJA, right?
I'm talking to anyone.
Oh, okay. Well, PUJA.
Do you think it's unrealistic to want to find a wife that maybe meets whatever you hold in your mind as the ideal situation?
The traditional role you're referring to. And I don't think it's, here's the thing. I've seen stuff now that women are actually.
Is that wrong for a woman to want that in return as well?
I was going to say that. I've been seeing a lot of women come back, these feminists, and saying, hey, you guys may want the independent. I want to stay at home and be a mother, a wife, a provider, and I'm okay with that, because when did that become weak? Because last I checked, that's like 3 jobs or 2 jobs, the equivalent of having 2 jobs when you raise a kid at home.
Yeah,
it's a job that never ends, actually.
Yeah, but I mean,
women who do that right now.
You just gotta pop some Dayquil and get with it.
She said pop some Dayquil. Oh my God. I don't think you're gonna get many referrals from that, PUJA. Shit.
You know, this is where technology is.
What the fuck?
Mama needs some Advil.
Shit. We're just gonna keep it adult for you, PUJA, because what the hell? PUJA's like, just pop some Dayquil. Give him some vodka. She's like, give him some vodka.
Is that unrealistic? Is it unrealistic for a male or a female to hold a mindset of where it's like, okay, I'd like to be a stay-at-home mom and, have a man that goes out and, takes care of the bills and stuff while I take care of home. And, at the same time, is it wrong for a male to be looking for that in a female? Is that, I guess, having that mindset, is that an indication of like someone not moving forward or being, being out of touch with reality? Is that a bad, is that a bad thing?
No, I think it's a preference, right?
Yes.
It speaks to a deeper value, which is you want to have stability for your kids in the home, or somebody who's willing to sort of be okay with a one-income household in these times, but willing to sort of devote their time. And I've seen many couples where it's either the husband ends up being, a stay-at-home dad. That's a thing too, which is slowly kind of gaining momentum, but it's not as common, or it's frowned upon still to this day, and many men that I've seen in couples therapy, that has been a strong sort of issue because there was a lot of resentment built from the time that they took to do that. And it was purely because of finances. So it kind of really comes down to, I think, in this day and age, sort of money, the feasibility of like, hey, depending on where you want to live, can we survive on a one-income household?
Yeah.
And then you have to worry about childcare and all that. So if you actually add up the cost of all the things that go into, being a stay-at-home parent, whether a mom or dad, or someone who identifies as a mom or dad, I think there was a survey that said total it was like a 24/7 job, and it was a 6-figure plus paycheck that they're not getting.
Right.
And there's no paid, sick leave. There's no 401k. I mean, there's none of that, right? So I think it's not wrong to have that mindset. I think that just speaks to the fact that you know what you want, and if that's what you want, then that's a better, I think, way to approach a relationship, regardless of how you find you will be perceived, because then there's a chance that your relationship won't end in divorce, as so many do these days. And so it's better to sort of know that this is what I want. And I think somebody had touched on this point right before, is that, women are kind of putting themselves out there, and it's different, and then on some days men might get like, protective, or sort of be like, oh, put a turtleneck on. What was it, May or June? But I think that speaks also to just that sort of feeling that the male privilege sort of surfaces, right?
No, explain.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So, I mean, there's male privilege. That is what we are born. Our society is always run as a patriarch. There's very few cultures, I think, historically, that, where women have received a certain like authority and power in a civilization. But when we think about like just today, I mean, even in religions, right, we have like female goddesses, but the way women are treated is really property, it's behavioral economics, right? Like it's seen as a resource. Business empires have merged or married off like what their what they believe is their property, right? Their daughters or whomever, sisters, to merge business and further that proposition and whatever that is. But I think when we look at it, it's sort of like, well, if you start dating a girl that, let's say, is more provocative and likes to dress with clothes and can pull it off, has a confidence, more importantly, to, regardless of what the looks are, the confidence to sort of be like, hey, this is me. And later on you say, well, we'll put, this is too much. But it's sort of like, well, I was who I was when you dated me. Like, what happened? And that's similar to, right? And that's similar to if you were to really know deep down that I want somebody who's going to replicate the way I grew up, which is maybe have a parent at home, which happened to be your mom, right? Let's say in most cases it is, even in the pandemic, and we'll touch on that later. But like if that's the case, then it would be kind of, I think, a deal breaker or a big reason that relationships end or lead to divorce if down the line, if you end up dating a woman who's extremely successful, career-oriented, ambitious, but you really want someone that's not, then to bring that up at that point is sort of, but you knew what I, was bringing to the table, what mattered to me. So it's, I think, a great mindset to have because that's your authentic sort of what you want. And if that's your values that you're trying to sort of live within and that then there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think right now in this, we're all very like politically correct about what we say and rightfully so with this whole push with, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yet I think we still struggle to say the truth because of how we might feel like we're going to lose an opportunity, whether that's a job, a mate, or anything really. But
or how we sound.
But not right. Yeah. Right. But at the end of the day, right, like you're actually just compromising what you need, and then that leads to more conflict and then divorce. So then if you have kids and you're divorcing because you didn't kind of follow your gut and heart really to what you wanted, then that causes more problems down the line. So I think that's not a terrible mindset to have. I mean, I think that's okay to lead with that.
So side question for you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jeff. It's cool.
So quick side question. So we've touched on the social media piece of it, right? And we've talked about how, and Reg is accurate, like there is a lot to see out there. It feels like it's on display, but I'll say this, Reg, I don't believe it's just a woman thing. I think it's just people in general now are like, it's like fishing, you're just kind of throwing a line out there, whether it's, you're looking for compliments or likes or some type of affirmation. I don't know what it is, but I guess my question to you is this: do you believe? We all agree that social media has had an impact on the dating scene, but I like the word you use. You use confidence. Like if somebody's a little more provocative, that's in a sense like some confidence. Is it fair to say that that same person that's going to go on social media and maybe be in the provocative fit is the same person maybe 10, 15 years ago that you would have seen walking down the street in the same fit? Like it's how they're built. It's like you said, it's a confidence. It's like, hey, I know I look good. Look at me. Isn't it social media just kind of extended their range some? Or do you think social media has carried a deeper impact than that? Like now that range is extended to people that wouldn't normally do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, social media sort of allows people to create a persona that they can escape with, right? Mm-hmm. Or to build up a influencer list because they want to monetize. So there's all these like different motivations, and they may be very different off camera than what they're posting, of course. But I think, it kind of speaks. So this topic, I feel, and what I'm hearing, really the underlying theme that I'm picking up is if we look at, maybe a decade ago even, like if a woman was raped, and even to this day, the first question is, what was she wearing? Why was she by herself at this time? What was she doing? Right?
Very true.
And this has been said by, I forgot what his name is. It was a Republican.
Trump?
Out of Congress.
Grab her by the butt. No.
God, I know. And yet, but anywho, somebody else would have lost everything, right? But he was president. Anyway, I can't even go there. So that trauma is. But,
I just like my gas being low.
I think, he just kind of reflected and said, well, I think majority of people on certain values and points believe, and they're just not going to say it, which is sad to say. And I'm by no means endorsing Trump and what he said. I think he's an idiot to be. You could put that on here. I don't care. But like, it has, so but that conversation when we talk about, if a woman's raped, is that what were you wearing? What were you doing? And so I think part of this is it's counterculture. It's sort of to move forward from like, hey, I can wear whatever I want. I am allowed to walk. I think shirtless and braless is probably indecent exposure still.
In certain areas.
I thought you were going to say, I'm allowed to walk these streets. I was going to be like, what? What?
Oh, boy. Yeah, well, that, but that alone right there, I think, is a way to kind of be like, hey, yeah, I'm a woman. This is what I have. Like, you can't like I should be able to. It's my body, just like you show yours. Like it is mine. So
Right.
I wonder if part of it is just women stepping up to also leverage these additional tools. Is the mindset of there's acceptance now too. Like women work out, women do this. They also are into their bodies. It creates other issues for other women who maybe look at it and go, oh my God, I fucking wish I looked like that. Or
right.
Why can't I? So there's all those things that do happen as well as a result. But I think most of it is just, hey, this is what I do. And it's sort of, modeling is the age of beauty pageants. Like, why do we have them? Like,
if we kind of go back and think about the main question about what's wifey material, we're kind of forgetting, like we might have touched on it already, but the religion aspect. Because, if I remember correctly, when I used to go to this certain church, I'm not going to say it was pushed upon but it seemed like the wife was the caretaker.
Yeah.
And they used kind of like a biblical background for that. And the husband was the provider.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it was more of just, that's kind of how it was. And that's how it's going to be. And there wasn't any change because it says it in the Bible. You can use Bible references to back you up because it's biblically correct.
Okay.
So it seemed like that's kind of how it's pushed in the church in a sense. And
the Adam and the Eve scenario, right? The woman was found to be the weaker sex. She couldn't resist temptation. I'm not practicing any kind of religion, so I don't know. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, she sold Adam on that apple. she's a pretty good salesperson. How about that apple? How about these apples?
How about them apples, Reg?
I'm saying, right? Sin and death.
I'm biting my tongue because it's corny. But let's move on.
That's why we got PTP.
I know. Wow, geez, she's so brutal.
Drop the mic and walk away.
There we go.
Brutal. Wow, she's brutal.
So that's why we got you on here, PUJA.
I see.
Keep it 100 all
so
the time.
going back to what you were saying before, when you were saying when people get in relationships and how things change and they're like, oh, you need to, so they tell the person to change or whatever. Change how they dress, get more conservative, whatever that may be. I don't know. I don't necessarily mean, if that happens immediately, it's different. Like if it happens instantly, you guys get together and you're like, okay, you need to change this. But if it happens over time, because for instance, when people are single, they're putting themselves out there to make, like Jeff said, to get a catch. So you're kind of being more provocative. You're kind of,
Not always though. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you don't think so? In a sense that people are like,
not always. There are some people that are just true to who they are, and it's like, love me or leave me. I'm telling you, I've come across a few people in my time that I'm like, nah, she's just kind of doing this, and what? I see them to this day, and I'm like, all right, you still beating that drum, okay?
But they're single, right?
You march to the
they're
beat
single,
of your
right?
own drum.
It's a case
no,
by case scenario.
but they're single. Yeah, but they're single, right? They're the
Some
one.
of them, yes, some of them no.
They're the one marching band, right? They're like, oh, I'm not changing. I know, and they're probably just.
But the thing is, I truly don't believe it's like some type of like defiance. Like I'm going out of my way to be this way. That's just who and how they are, And when you spend enough time around them, you realize like, okay, well, this isn't some type of like false pretense. They're not putting on airs to make you like them or not like them. Like this is truly who they are and how they're built. And I agree with you. I'm you're always putting your best foot forward in any type of relationship building situation. But I'm just saying there's a couple of X factors out there where they are who they are. So whether it's
a couple
5 years into the relationship, 10 years into the relationship, they're still doing the same thing they were doing, operating in that same capacity.
So let's go for what you're saying. So let's say there's a couple of those apples right? Apples. So there's a couple of them, right? So let's say out of them, the majority, I'm saying,
mic drop.
They put themselves up. They're all right. The majority, let's say they're getting at that age. They want to get married. They want to have a relationship. So they're putting themselves out there.
And what do you mean when you say put out there? What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, I'm like they're going on dating apps and stuff like that, and they're putting their best foot forward. They're trying to give an impression of this is me. This is how I look. This is my best angles. These are my best shots. So. It's to me, they're up in the ante, right? To sell themselves. We're a product. We're selling ourselves, right? Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, no, that is well put.
Yeah. So once so once it's sold, right? So once it's sold, then it's like, okay, let's wrap the merchandise up and put the extra accessories to the back, because everything's, because hey, we've got a buyer, we've got a buyer with a contract. I'm just saying,
Christmas season.
No, listen, I'm saying it from. I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not gonna I'm gonna say from different perspectives. You guys can have this, and like I said, Jeff, you can go with the girl power, and that's cool. I'm just saying from a perspective, even from a guy, like you put yourself out there, you sold yourself to a woman, and now you should kind of like stomp, pull back a little bit on the reins, pull back a little bit.
Why can't we use the word presenting yourself versus selling yourself?
Well, you can use any terminology that you're fine with, right?
I'm just saying. I mean, selling yourself. Come on.
Why? What's wrong?
That's kind of low.
Promoting.
Really touched the nerve on one of Ray's old lives.
I know.
He doesn't like that.
What happened, JT? Was you good, JT?
JT is dead. I don't know him anymore.
Yo,
should I intervene? Like, what was it about that statement that brought that?
I know. Please find out. Like, there's a trigger.
I just feel like you're selling yourself. It brought something back.
Yo, triggered. Apparently, please. PTP, save me. I'm alone with this dude. Save me.
PTSD.
PTSD. That's funny.
But
so Reg, you're saying if she dressed provocative for 10 years or 3 years of you guys dating, and you're ready to move forward and marry her, you're having a conversation like, "Hey, babe, I love you. I want to make this forever. Just wondering, can you maybe dial it back a little bit? Like, is that what you're saying? Like,
well, let's put it. I think there's evolution, right? So I think.
Agreed.
When we're 20s, we dress different than we're in the 30s. When you're 30s, when you're 40s, you're dressed different than when you're in 30s, right? It just, you grow.
You should.
So you should. Yeah, you should. So you should evolve. So if you're becoming a parent, you don't want to be the 40-year-old parent picking your kid up, and you're still, you got leggings and you've got, whatever, and you've got your sports bra on.
She went
and
from
stuff
mini
like
skirts and half tops to like the Amazon special yoga pants and the sports bra. Like,
yeah, for what? For Halloween or for evolution. A special night? What are we talking here? I'm just saying.
Nothing wrong with yoga pants. Those should
there's nothing wrong with yoga pants. They're actually acceptable. They're actually acceptable now. They are
not for everybody.
Just to add to this point though, I've also seen it go another way where people are like, when this is what I've heard from some of my in my experiences, and so I've seen it go another way, which is like in the beginning, let's say, and this was actually, I'll tie it back to the survey questions and then sort of the traits we were looking at, the turn-offs and the turn-ons kind of so I've seen it go the other way where, initially a man's really attracted to a woman because of the way she puts herself together, the way she presents herself, appears, and promotes sort of, just who she is.
Right.
But then a few years into the relationship, perhaps, that confirmation, that solid commitment is in, or they go, well, but then got married, and all of a sudden she's walking around the house in sweatpants all the time, or stopped taking care of her looks, didn't go to the gym, didn't do her nails, things that I think at one point that were very attractive and they would have appreciated their spouse to continue doing that. They didn't. So in that case, it went the other way where they were like, what happened? Or in those cases, if something didn't look well, that was usually the reason to be like, oh, can you cover that up? Not because they were being possessive or toxic, or controlling. It was more of like, there was a male privilege again, the male ego, right? Like, how are other people going to see me? Because their wife or their children, I don't think it's that ancient, and it's not a generation that's that far away from us. Where I feel like I'm a transitional generation where those values still kind of carried over, right?
You just had me. I was like, wait, what?
I'm the OG of the millennials.
No. You had me with that T word. That T word was no. I was like, what? You're what? Wait, who?
No, yeah. But I've for our generation, I think we're in the same group. So
I think so.
There's that like patriarchal societal way of thinking, and then there was that new sort of more liberal way of thinking that was coming up. So I feel that it's hard, because our generation has learned and seen things one way and then done another. And that generation, men into this day, and it's just, I feel like a very strong, or people who identify themselves as men, I think tend to view in this case, we're going to use just, people who identify or just men and women biologically, whatever they identify themselves as, their preference. But historically, right, like women have been used as a resource. So if a wife and children, for men at work parties, it was like, oh, charm the boss or the boss's wife because they wanted a promotion, right? Yeah. So it was like sort of like, what can I gain? So that this picture perfect family that, kids dressed well, wife like put together. I'm like a Mad Men, and it was the 60s, right? But like if you look at certain circumstances now, it's very similar. I think, though, it differs among, I think, the type of work and where in industries. But even then, there's an expectation that the spouse, usually the wife, is going to kind of add to the man or husband's overall promotion socially. And that is what marriage is too. It's a way to move up in social realms. It's not just for like mating. It's also, hey, if I marry this person, I may go from being in a lower socioeconomic class to a much more like well-received or, comfortable class where I'll have all these opportunities and open up networks for me to grow what I need. Yeah. So it goes both ways. I've seen both. And in my experience, though, in cases where men have chosen to marry higher earning women or women with family wealth, there seems to be more dissatisfaction in terms of their idea and attachment to the idea of them not living up to what men should. We've, for as long as I think people have existed, decided that men are supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So that is something that is happening. So while we're shifting cultures, there's still a lot of shaming. If you were to see, a wife that's earning, there's lots of ways to put a man down for that. Like, oh yeah, or if a girlfriend's calling and the boyfriend's receptive, for example, I know, and look, I've had, we've all, experienced being teenagers in 20s and 30s or whatever. Yeah. And their friends will joke about it and be like, oh, she's got you whipped. Like she's, you're and that's seen as a bad thing. So emotionally too, you're taught as a man, you can't open up, you can't share. All you have to do is provide. So now I think with so many more women that are educated, pursuing graduate degrees, pursuing careers where traditionally only men were present, or even in very highly female-dominated fields, men are still at the top tiers of management. Teaching is one. I've worked in schools. I've seen that, where it's highly, a female field, but the administrators, superintendents, majority of the times are men. So
that's true.
Men, department heads, right. So that's still sort of interesting. It is. But, and slowly I think things are changing, but it's still very much, the more we think things are changing, the very much they are the same in some ways. And so, in fact, I think men are now feeling bad if they do identify as like supporting women's rights or okay with their spouse, being out with her girlfriends or with their wife being out with their girlfriends and then watching the kids, because it's more common and accepted. But at the same time, a lot of times our friends are like, oh, she left, she's out at a club or bar and you're here with the kids. Like, why aren't you out? Right. It's certainly much harder for, I think, a woman to leave for a week conference. But I feel like in my own personal situation, like my husband travels more for work, and then so majority of the responsibilities end up kind of in my lap. And he also does a lot more also at times than I do. So it's hard to always be equal. You got to kind of understand, hey, at this point in our lives, like maybe I'm going to do this. Down the line, you're going to step it up. Just like if, we both work, but he is in an industry, he's in finance, and he's in an industry where he, has worked really hard to kind of move up. And so therefore he gets paid a fuckload more than what I do.
Tell me how you really feel. Yeah.
I mean, that's just,
that makes up for it. Hey, I love that part.
I know.
How much does it get paid more than you?
A fuckload more. Gotta put that in.
Shit. Put that on a t-shirt.
I know. Shit.
But then there's bonuses and there's this and there's that, right? So there's all these perks and things which I don't necessarily see in my field of behavioral healthcare. So it's very much I sort of we have to sort of work around, not sort of, we do. We have to work with his schedule because if he has to travel, there's no like 9 to 5, 9 to 10, even though if he's working from home, he's still working. So I kind of, and he's been really good in the sense that he's never, one thing we did, I think you guys brought up earlier was like, did you guys sit down and talk about it? One of the things that did come up was, you know, he didn't, like, although we're both of the same cultural group, he considers me to be a little bit more of like an outlier. I'm a little bit more outspoken than like, I guess, the traditional patriarchal Indian culture might approve of, and I challenge more norms, you know, and he actually like that. And so he was on board with like, I don't want someone that doesn't speak her mind and just kind of like, you know, you don't have to like make money to have your worth, but you need to have your own identity as like what you want to offer this world and what you want to do.
That's a strong guy.
West Side.
That's a strong guy right there.
West Side, only because I'm
Nobody
from
wants
the
a
West
yes
Coast.
man.
Yeah. 5 years into the marriage, she's like, damn it, why can't you just be traditional Indian? Fuck.
I'm like, do I really have to do this? Oh no.
Shit.
I'm telling you, like,
I'm out.
I was home. I was home for like about almost a year with my son after he was born, and then a little bit earlier now I had to go back to work. I needed to like, you know, it was to a point where I was talking to adults with baby voice. It was
yes. You needed adult time.
That is
I needed to have that
hilarious.
outlet, you know. It's just the way my mom was always like a very stable provider as well as a home care provider. I mean, she would work long hours and come home and have a full like meal for us every night and have my lunch and have everything I needed. And I don't know how she did it because I am dying over here.
I know, right?
And my dad was not as supportive in the sense that it just wasn't, you know, he does now, right? Like now he understands like, oh yeah, he helps with dishes. He'll do things that he can. Back then it just wasn't, you know, as
accepted.
I guess accepted, or also as much. It wasn't like pushed upon. Like, hey, you should also help with this. And so my husband, though, he grew up in family dynamics where they're very, you know, conservative, traditional Indian, and they have very strict sort of those. Their parents did business together. They've always sort of been together on that level. But when it comes to the home responsibilities, you know, hands down, his mom has taken on more, and that's just because men were used to, for generations, they eat first. This is like, you know, a very not that long ago history for my culture. So they kind of make food and they do all of that, even though they work the same hours. But my husband, though, does not, you know, he didn't take on that sense of cultural or like, I guess, gender appropriation of roles. Like he's always been helpful. He cooks, he does. I mean, there's been times where I used to do more of that, and I think things have tipped a little bit. Also because I think he knows I'm probably more like stable when I am working and not just staying at home and trying to like take care of everything. And then
you mean saying mentally stable? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, of course. I'm human, right? Like I have my days where I'm just like, if I get one more red light, like, right, or like say one more thing, and I'm just gonna like.
PUJA, we love the fact that we love the fact that you are open and sharing with us, because you know you're not keeping things to yourself. You're being transparent, and we appreciate that from you. You know, we really do.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do. All I imagine is our husband coming home like, why is our son always asleep when I come home?
It's the tussin. No, I'm kidding.
Why? That NyQuil tip. Why is he always asleep?
Dayquil.
Oh, Dayquil. Oh, it's the Dayquil. Yeah, it's healthier. Yeah, the Dayquil. Yeah, there we go.
He got the Dayquil.
Wink.
He got the Benadryl.
Wink. Wink. She's getting that phone call. Miss Parikh, your son's sleeping in class again today. Oh, is he?
Right. Or in session, the patients actually had someone tell me, I'm like, what brings you to me? I've seen another therapist before. They actually said their therapist fell asleep.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
But I sympathize. Yes. I'm like, maybe you got to lower that caseload. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, that's funny.
But to go back really quick to that point about like, you know, going other ways where men are also, they want like a pretty, eye candy, those terms come from
trophy wife, eye candy,
right? And they want that. So when it shifts, all of a sudden it's like, that's not what I bought, or that's not what I put a ring on, right? Like this is essentially, there's a behavioral economics terms in which they do use, they study women and men, and they look at sexuality as they're having buyers and sellers, and that was a whole fascinating other thing. But I think it was interesting because while men wanted loyal, trustworthy, family-oriented women, the biggest turnoffs in a lot of them were associated to looks. So bad hygiene, not taking care of their looks, like not, keeping up with fashion, or
so it's a lot of superficial stuff. A lot of superficial.
Yeah, which
wow.
indirectly you're saying it does matter to me. When you say like this is a turnoff, meaning those are probably stronger indicators of whether, deal breakers, right? Like things that you absolutely aren't going to compromise on are turnoffs, right? I don't know what else. I've seen very many situations where what you want may not always align because people change, times change, but one or two people that I informally asked about this, men actually mentioned, actually asked my husband this. I'm like, what are the top 5?
Oh, yeah.
And interesting. I did. I was like,
yeah, I know. He was like, hold up, wait, what are you again?
I'm like, no, I'm good.
He was like, what are the 5 you are again? Let me see. Oh, shit. Yeah.
It was funny because I was like, at the end of that, I'm like, I don't think I meet any of those.
He's like, oh, shit. Yeah. I mean, yeah. What are you again?
Like, I think you do in some ways to an extent. I'm like, okay. He's like, but I'm good with that. I'm like, what?
Talk about a bad save. I think you are in some ways, right? No.
I had to have that therapist hat on. I'm like, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
Oh my god! It was a quiet night that night in the PARIKH house. It was a very quiet night.
Was he on the couch that night?
Not. But for him,
because
yeah. No, absolutely not unrealistic. But adapting, being somebody who's adaptive or flexible to different circumstances,
right?
Important.
That's all you say.
Like, and it's being attracted to, right? Not maybe like you may not find me attractive, for example, but he may, right? That's important if you want to make babies. In fact, I did have a family member, a friend, sort of removed from my immediate fam. They were trying to set him up to get married, and they kept pushing certain girls, and he was like, one day flat out apparently said to his mom, listen, do you want grandkids? And she was like, well, yeah. And he's like, well, then you better stop showing me these pictures because I need to be able to have sex with the person I'm with.
Wow.
Not doing it. So, but adapting. Wow. So like maybe you marry a man when my husband I met, he wasn't making, we've been married almost 13 years. I mean, he wasn't making this salary that he is now.
Yeah.
He wasn't at the position that he's now. I wasn't where I was, right?
Yeah.
So we sort of built the life together and grew together in a sense, which I guess was for us worked out. That can break or make, and we've had our times too. Like, I mean, as any human person has, and if they say everything's perfect, well, they're fucking lying because there's not a thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you're in denial, right? You're denying and you're just saying everything's great because if you believe, ignorance is bliss. But adapting, being funny, being able to adjust within, not necessarily giving up your values, but adjusting and amending to situations. You're welcoming of other people's views, family, if there's family drama, like you're able to kind of accept what it is while you're maintaining your ground. You don't have to give in, but also there's a respectful way to sort of like redirect and address that issue, right? So someone who's diplomatic in certain ways, like those things were important. And I was like, are you sure you're like married to the right person?
I love how you said adjusting and amending. That's pretty cool.
That was also on the list for a few other people, right? Because, like, what if somebody marries a millionaire today and tomorrow
they're broke?
They're not, and he's not. Is that woman going to stay with you? Is your wifey material that you thought was with you and you found the right match 10 years later when you broke? Is she going to be there? Or vice versa? But because we're focusing on wifey material and men, and I'm gonna use that. But if is she going to be there to help you build that back up or be okay with whatever lifestyle changes need to come? That's when you kind of really learn, is it worth it? But if, so that's something for women, I think it's just also, again, like very much in the DNA, right? Like now technology advancements in a lot of ways have made us able to do certain things. But in terms of like biologically, in our prehistoric biology, women always sought the stronger men because they believed they would give them protection and better offspring with lower issues and children that would thrive and survive and be strong. So that was a big sort of motivator. But I mean, in terms of like the looks piece, the cons for men that said they wanted all these like ambition, all this, that want someone who can like be a great cook, ambitious, fun, and put looks on like number 5 on that list. Yeah. The turn off though included 4 different synonyms for needs to be good looking, like needs to be put together. So I
So do
don't
you
think
think women
that way.
adapt better? Do you think women adapt better with the change in their partner than men? And because I hear what you're saying, like you need to be flexible and manage
Men do. I
expectations,
think
right?
so.
So
I think
you
men
can't
do.
go
I
in
think women
expecting
do.
your partner to look the
I
same
think
way they
women do.
did day one, at day 3,500. But I think like if you're dealing with someone, and let's say there's been like significant weight loss, and we're talking no kids, no health problems, she won't even do her hair anymore. Like she won't even like pretend to put on something nice when she leaves the house. So the same thing for a man. Like, you guys met, he's put on 200 pounds. You see his belly before you see him. He's got no health issues. He just has no intentions of maybe trying to like help himself out or eat better or go to the gym at that point. And I get it, it's till death do us part. But at that point, it's not that they are violating the terms of the contract, but I think it's hard to, even in your mindset of flexibility, I think it's hard to like come into that and be like, well, I'm not understanding how we got here, especially if there's like no health issues or kids or anything that would drive that. It's like, are you just unhappy? Like, how do you go from where we started all the way to here? And I've seen situations like I know people where I'm like, man, I remember that dude used to look like this, and what's going on there? Is he okay? Like, does he need to talk to somebody? Because like, he really looks not like, and there's no health issues.
You just blame it on COVID.
True.
Anything happens.
No,
Anything happens after COVID, you just say, "It was fucking COVID." It was those 2 years. 10 years from now, it was those 2 years we were quarantined. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's still going on, but no. But speaking of COVID, I mean, the pandemic too just highlighted, even though women are taking on more, right? And there was a really good article I read, and it focused on this very issue that you mentioned about like, are women more flexible? And what they really were saying is that women and men deal with conflict differently. So women they don't like direct conflict, right? Whereas men are okay with just being like, I'm not doing this, or getting into it with other men, or being a little bit more overt about what, just what they're trying to express. Women tend to do it more quietly. So they might use different means, like get other groups and, have their like cliques, and then put other people or shame other girls, as opposed to like do it themselves, right? So therefore, reason being that they found through a lot of the studies they cited and different disciplines of people looking at it from every angle, it was really what they are saying is that what it really suggests is that women they try to take the calmer route as much as they can to avoid physical conflict, because they want to avoid that at all costs. They want to keep the peace. So because keeping the peace, is better overall for survival of their kids, for their health. Women tend to take better care of their themselves and others, and hence one of the reasons they're saying women live longer, because they have responsibilities to care for others, right? So that if they can't take care of their kids, like, it is a big issue, because in the way society is right now, even in the pandemic, even though women were working, and the the wife and the husband are working, when it came down to it, most of the wives had to step back from their work roles and sort of take over, myself included. I had to kind of limit certain things when we didn't have childcare. My child wasn't in school because of COVID, or we had a lot of transitions, right? So you just sort of take that on. Also, I think finances play a big role. Men for the same roles or same jobs get paid more. So when you kind of look at certain times, you're like, well, if we could pay this for childcare, or I could just do this, based on salary. Sometimes it makes very good practical sense. But even in the pandemic, men and women that were working and thriving careers, all of a sudden the pandemic happened and women ended up stepping back a lot more. So there's tons of stuff now about how much it's hurt mothers, especially single mothers who don't have help. A lot of men are also single dads, but historically they usually have their mom or a grandmother or somebody still involved to help with childcare, or they're still living with them. So women tend to kind of then at that point have their own life and try to do their best to provide and accept help in families where they can, but it's not the reality for so many. So women traditionally continue to get these setbacks, even though we're progressing, and it takes time, right? I think for women, some women are happy. They'll say, I want to be a stay-at-home mom for a while, be there for my kids. because that's how they grew up, and they feel like, hey, if I can raise my child and they're doing really well, then like I can go back to work once they're in school. I actually a couple people I was speaking with, women and throughout my sort of acquaintances, social circles, same thing. They were home for 10 years. Once their youngest child started full-time school in kindergarten, they went back to work. But for those 10 years, they were home, and they were excited to go back because they felt like there's this huge like sense of accomplishment and sort of identity that they get, right? Because when you get like isolated, that ends up becoming a form of control in certain situations, not every, obviously, but that is traditionally why, the saying, men like their women barefoot and pregnant, because they're less likely to leave. So it's secure, right? And also because then you can know paternity, like, hey, I know where you've been, like that's my kid. But if you can't trust her, this is what it is. So that is this whole fascination. But I could keep going on, so feel free to cut me off here.
No, you're good.
I see some moves happening. PUJA, shut the fuck up. You've said
no.
No.
I'm kidding.
All the things you said, it all makes sense. So there's nothing you said. You're not talking too long. You're putting in a lot of great input here. So I mean, I'm learning a lot from you. So if I'm learning from you, that means you can keep talking. So. No problem.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you can keep talking, anime. What the hell? Ray has got the Ike Turner like syndrome in him. He's like, nah, if I'm learning from you, can keep talking.
I like to differ.
It's like, you can keep talking. You sound good. You can keep talking. Shit, anime. Raymond's got a side, boy. I don't even know.
I told you JT is dead. All right.
Nah, he ain't dead. He's still on the right
below
the surface.
We're gonna get the background on that one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like starting to sound real creepy here. Who am I speaking with right now?
You need to get a session, and you need a pencil in a session with
What
PUJA.
does JT look like? Is he here now?
Yeah, I know. I'll give you my speculation. Yeah, I'll give you what I think JT was. From what I've heard.
Yeah, what have you heard?
No, because all right, so PUJA, let's put it, this is totally off topic since you brought up JT.
I thought we were talking about women and Wifey.
We are. You're still talking about women. This is good. So, Raymond's
For women.
This is for women, trust me. Because we said you might want to touch on that.
PUJA put on her glasses for this.
She has to. She has to. So, no, Raymond was like, he was explaining a story. He was explaining a story, and I hope your friend, did she raise enough funds for the cancer fundraiser that she had? Did she raise enough fund for that money?
No. There's a story about her as well. As far as I mean, is it time for me to get into? We'll get to that later.
Okay, I just wanted to see if she had raised enough or met her goal.
She's still raising.
She's still raising her fund. Okay,
yeah.
So Raymond had a friend that he was back in California. So this is I had to go back to the backstory. That she knew him when he was JT. Apparently, when he went by the alias JT. So he was like, "Yo, don't tell anybody about my JT. He's dead, whatever." And Jeff and I are like, "Whoa, what's up with this JT thing? Let's try to figure out what it is."
No, Reg, JT's dead, and he needs to stay dead.
Yeah, he needs to stay dead.
Words.
Yes, he needs to stay dead. You're right. So he's talking about it, and then he's telling us a story. One time, he's telling us that his friend, what's her name?
Letty.
Letty or Letty?
Letty.
It's
short for Leticia.
Leticia, okay.
Leticia. I used to have a childhood friend with that name.
It might be her. So was she a bike? Is she a biker chick now? No.
No, I don't know.
She could be. So she was out in LA. Was she out in LA too? No.
Well, she lives in San Diego, but she rides back and forth to LA with other LA bike shops.
Okay, so Ray used to hang out with the sisters, right? Her sisters, and I guess they were really like a rowdy group, right? Ride or die girls.
They're just sisters who they can hold their own.
They can hold their own. Okay, apparently hold their own. Right.
They wasn't afraid to throw down.
Exactly. So Ray was saying, like, what were you saying? You were out clubbing. Go ahead and tell her their part, and then I'll tell you what my theory is. Go ahead. You're out clubbing.
So it was me and two of Letty's sisters, and we were out at a club, and they were doing their thing. I was at the bar doing my thing, talking, to a female. And then all of a sudden, a fight broke out in the club, and I was like, "We need to get back," because the fight was people were all crowding around. It was going crazy, and you know how you look and you try to see who's fighting or what's going on. So I was looking and I saw like girls fighting, and I was like, "What are the chances of this is Arceli and Rena?" I'm like, and I take a look, and it is them. They're fighting. Right. And I walk over there, I'm like, oh man. So security has them all pent up and grabbing them or whatever, and they're like, JT, grab my shoes, JT. Grab my shoes, JT. So their shoes are like everywhere.
Pause right there. So when you said grab my shoes, JT, grab my shoes, PUJA, I've seen a lot of girls fight. I've seen it. And what they do is they don't tell their homeboy. They tell their homegirl, girl, grab my earrings, hold my earrings, hold my shoes. So this is making me believe that he was in San Diego, that JT was probably playing for the other team. He wasn't
What? Oh my gosh.
Grab my shoes, JT.
No,
you know the ones I borrowed from you.
Ray, you realize this is the second time you told the story about these sisters, and I'm hoping that they're listening to it so that they can call in and provide some perspective on JT.
Yeah,
you now told the story twice, and I feel like they need to come through and give us a call and share a little insight about their their trials and tribulations
Jeff,
with JT.
Did you see the screenshot this man put? He put a screenshot of a conversation between him and Letty, and he was like, something which she was listening to the podcast and was like, I want to tell him so bad about JT. I heard the desperation in his text, and I don't normally pick up on it, the tone.
He showed.
He was like, don't tell him about JT. No.
He nixed that ASAP.
In the bud. Don't tell him about JT. Don't.
I want to just say this right here.
One of these shows,
hey, listen, I would love to go deeper on JT, but PUJA has very limited time right now.
No, we're not. I don't want to.
She's here, and we thank her for being here. We can't waste her time on this JT nonsense.
Ooh, he's deflecting. He is deflecting. This is scary. So, like a politician.
Let's get back to the wifey.
Redirecting.
Yeah, he is. So, since we're gonna get back on topic, so if you can sum it up. With the wifey or women being raised as wifeys, as wifey material or too independent, how would you summarize that question to end it for the audience?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think the right question perhaps to also ask is, are they done growing? Like, are they just feeling like, oh shoot, like we're here, we've always been at the top, so there hasn't been a need to sort of do more to grow. Women are taking opportunities, expanding their skill sets that they weren't allowed to before by society and law, not because they weren't intelligent or capable enough to, but I think men are now either just feeling something to explore. I wonder if it's threatening sort of like that male privilege of, I should have hot food waiting for me when I come home in a home that's clean, right? Like, and I think now with more women gone, that means, hey, I have to actually cook dinner and clean when I come home from work too. It can't just be demanded. Like, I work all day, and that's the stereotypes we see, right? Like, that is, I think, being threatened. Anytime a social order is being threatened, there's always resentment and there's always pushback. Change is hard. But also gotta be mindful. Everybody's doesn't fall into like this normal, like, just like normal sort of area. Everyone is on one side or another too. So there's, people that may not fit into specific boxes that may say, well, you could be both. But I think as far as wifey material, I think there's still, I don't think it's a question of women, I think, being different or being too independent. I think that now we're in a more conscious and aware time where women are confidently being able and supported to express their full level of what it means to be a woman, right? Like, they're able to express their intelligence, express their words without feeling like I'm not going to move forward in my career. And while that still happens, there's just more support and awareness, and women are just showing up as who they really are, because I think that we're more okay with that, more so than not. I don't really think it's because anything's really changed that much with the way men and women are socialized. I don't think women are being raised to be any, more or less. I think people are still like that. I'll sum it up with this. I read this quote somewhere. Mark Zuckerberg, I don't think he's as popular right now with Facebook stuff going, or Meta. I don't know.
Meta World Peace.
This IT guy. He once said that a man reached out to him on social media and said, I tell my daughter in high school, date the nerd, date the geek, because, you never know. He might be the next, Facebook person. I may or some new inventor of some sort, right?
Right.
And he wrote back and he said, wouldn't it be even better if you raised your daughter to be that next inventor or innovator? And I think that's actually a really good way to put it.
That is. That's amazing.
My generation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and there's still women have pressure to get married. Men don't seem to have that. By 30, women are like, you're time to freeze your eggs because it's done. That's the message. So as much as socially we're progressing, biology and, other things are not there yet. So in short, I think men should ask themselves, what is it that threatens me, to the point that I have to consider the fact that is a woman more independent? Why is that a threat to you? What is about an independent woman that's a threat? That is something I think that needs to get explored, and men need to ask themselves, like, where is that coming from? Yeah. And is that just my own self-esteem or my low or my insecurity about the fact that pretty soon, like, this paycheck isn't going to cut it because she's going to out-earn me, and then what's going to happen? Or, that whole thing about being sexually able to also be like a man is one thing that's a stereotype too. And a lot of couples, men that, seem like they're going to have a lot of women or have a lot of sex, they don't often, and they're embarrassed to seek help for it. And often because the idea is that you need to do that or you're not a man. So for a lot of those situations, especially now you throw in like women who are working, you kind of lost that advantage or power a little bit, right? It's the same thing we've seen with racial trends, everything that any kind of oppression to an extent is all related to power and control and economic control, really. So that's gone, and now I can't even perform in the bedroom. Who am I? It's like a sort of a crisis at that point. I think men need to explore, why is a question in this day and age is, are women raised more independently? Is this wifey material? I think the question, or that's a fair question, wifey material, because you got to ask yourself. You can't just marry any random person.
Exactly. Can't marry an Instagram model and expect food.
Should be whatever you want, right? Like,
just kidding.
But at the end of the day, like, what is it about the fact? Do you need to grow? Like, is it just identifying gaps in you, right? Like, are you feeling like I should push myself because maybe I need to do a little bit more and go out of my comfort zone to earn more, right? Or do what my wife's doing and hustle and like kind of work at it and still have what I can and be human and help each other out so we can achieve this life together, right? It's not me providing for her. It's really, how do we achieve the best life for our kids, for our future families, or if you don't want to have kids or don't have kids, for us together, not really me versus them, but that also goes the other way. And I think we're out of time, but I had a really interesting piece about the whole contract thing, because when women like tend to get in a committed relationship, one of the biggest things was that men thought that they were buying rights to have like sex whatever they wanted. This is an article. And they looked at it and for women, the discrepancy was, no, you're getting exclusivity, not frequency. Access, but exclusivity, whereas they said it was, men had perceived that it was access.
I blame that on Christian Grey. Wasn't that in 50 Shades of Grey? That contract?
I know somebody who personally kicked this girl out because she wouldn't have sex with him that day. And
oh, really?
And she had just had a baby recently, and she just wasn't up to it at the time. But he was like, you got to go then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Hey,
Damn.
But Puja, quick question for you before you got to go.
JT?
I know, it was JT. I was the same thing. Damn, Ray, was that you?
That wasn't me.
Look, are you speaking for a friend?
That wasn't me.
Just saying for a friend.
Quick question before you got to go, Puja. Another time you got to go. But has your husband, when you were dating or since you've been married, has he ever called you wifey? Has that term ever been used by him, or that's not in his vocabulary?
No, probably.
Nah,
probably.
I know her son has. Your son has because he's real hip.
He said, "Hey,
your son's real hip."
He said, "Hey, wifey."
Yo, Jeff, her son calls her baby mama.
He said, "We have a date planned." Me and my son said, "Mama, I want to go on a date with you. No, Dada, just you." So we're doing that. We're going to the city. And we're going to a little special date, son and mother date.
That's
but
cool.
He has used wifey, and yeah, that actually has been. I was trying to think of what other word. I think that is. The other day he was joking because he was in the car. We listened to like a lot of different types of music, but predominantly a lot of hip hop, rap, and like my son was in there and he came home.
Yeah.
And he was singing the lyrics. I can't remember. I want to say, what's that? I got $20 in my, gosh, what song is that? One-handed by,
I don't know.
Anyway, it was some like really, the Hotel Motel song. He was singing it.
Oh, that old song? Like, yeah, Hotel Motel, like, Holiday Inn.
It's like 5. Yeah,
Holiday Inn, that one?
This one, Ludacris and Snoop Dogg?
Yo, he's going to grow up. He's going to be like, okay. He's going to be 10 years old. Like, hey, I want to, Mommy, I want to date this girl. I want to take her to the Hotel Motel.
He was singing it at 5.
That's what I'm saying.
Car, and he comes home. He's like singing, doing something. I'm like, what are you singing? And all of a sudden, I hear him going, "You can bring your girlfriend, and I can bring your hotel." I was like, whoa.
Their kids are the darnest things, aren't they? They remember all the bad stuff, none of the good stuff.
Funny.
And that's why she prescribes the date cool.
But as a music lover, you guys are like, good for you.
And that's why she prescribes the date cool.
I'm call me wifey from now on. I like that term. I think it's empowering.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to use it. I'm going to own that one.
Own it.
Use that more.
Well,
Don't say wife. Say this is my wifey.
Well, thank you, PUJA. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. We're just like very insightful, and I think this is going to be a great show. Thank you for joining us and just sharing.
Yeah, in case you're
so awesome.
Yeah, and in case you're wondering, we put Jeff in the corner. He's got to face the wall.
Right.
He's punished.
Just like put baby in the corner.
Thank you so much, PUJA.
What you do?
PUJA, thank you so much. It's been really great.
Oh my
The guy
God.
said I can't look at you in the eye. So he doesn't think you're Medusa or anything. I just can't look you in the eye.
That's it. No, I can't do it.
All right, PUJA. We're gonna let you go.
I can't wait to hear the show.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me. And
of course, you're our girl.
Amazing.
So this is
you're our go-to.
Awesome.
You're our go-to. We love you for that. And I don't know. Next thing you want to get into, I know Jeff was talking about relationships and really focusing on that. He mentioned that in the group chat. So
well, go ahead
definitely touch down on that.
PUJA, go ahead and plug yourself one time. Plug your email and your information as far as one more time before how people can get in contact with you. Who you are once again, so people know who you are and how they can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. Where do I? Verbally.
Just verbally. Yeah, just verbally. Yeah.
Oh my right.
Just hit the button.
Just put it in the cloud.
Put
it in the cloud.
Yes, you can find me under my private practice is Pivotal Psychotherapy Services, or you can just type in PUJA PARIKH. I should show up, hopefully.
Damn, okay, you like
she
that?
does.
Pivotal Psychotherapy you'll find me. info@pivotalpsychotherapy.com is a great way to connect via email, or I'm going to get my phone. I don't know if anyone's going to really use it or remember it, but 917-683-3911. But it's, again, my name's PUJA PARIKH. info@pivotalpsychotherapy.com is the best way to connect, and you can look up Pivotal Psychotherapy Services and you'll find me.
Thank you so much.
All right,
beautiful.
You.
Yes.
Thank you
guys, and I commend you.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your week. Looking forward to the next show.
Wait, she was commending us, Jeff. You took that away. She was commending.
Oh, did I? Oh, my apologies.
If you were looking at her, you would have known that.
Know, right? If I wasn't in the corner.
No, I want to say, I think that's really good that you guys are bringing out topics and really kind of taking the stigma out of conversations and talking about it in a way you would, because I think that's important. And I commend you guys for doing this and being a part of that change, and sort of just by just exploring it and bringing out these conversations, because I think this is how change starts. And I think you guys are doing something really good. So I want to just tell you guys that I think that's amazing, and I can't wait to see and hear some of the other shows and catch up as well.
Awesome. Oh, this is Women's Month anyway. This is Women's Month, right?
That's right.
It's
a lot of months.
When is Men's Month? When's Men's Month?
Every month.
Oh, wow.
I guess you only celebrate special things right now.
Wow.
Just kidding.
And did you hear Ray? Ray was like, every month's our month. What? Gosh, I got this man hater over here in the damn studio. Jeff Kidd over here. Let's put Ray in the corner.
Male privilege.
There you go. We are. We do. We have it.
MP.
I'm not even trying to hold back. But thank you, PUJA, once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night. Bye.
So on that note, did any of you guys ever rant before I close this show?
Listen, I cannot stand. I do have a rant.
Okay, go for it.
There we go.
Listen, This whole thing, I know this is bike week, so this isn't about the bikers. This is about,
It's about the bikers, yeah.
Motorcyclists. This is as far as the people who ride the bicycles. Like bicycles,
Yeah.
Why do they have the same laws as we do as people in like motorized vehicles?
Oh, you talking about cyclists?
Yes.
I have no clue. I guess because those suckers can go like 20 or 30 miles per hour, can't
but
they?
They'll be in the road with us, right? And we have to pretty much like watch out for them. But they follow none of our rules as far as motorized vehicles. None of our rules. But they blocking the road. They're blocking the road. They're putting their hands up like this for signals or whatever. We gotta stop and wait for them. And then they're blocking the road. It's so dumb.
And they don't even have insurance. They don't even carry insurance or licenses, right? So that's pretty funny.
Either way, get off the road. Get off. Hey, listen, I can't stand them.
So that's your rant.
Oh, I hate them.
Okay, Jeff, you got anything? Or you piggybacking off of Ray, the cyclist.
So the crazy thing about that, Ray, is I always tip my hat to anyone that actually is brave enough to get on two wheels and an aluminum frame.
Tip your hat.
In a body cat suit and ride down these Florida roads. Because listen, these Floridian drivers are crazy, and I think it takes a special kind of like gusto to be like, all right, it's time to put on the tight suit and go ride like 30 miles down the street in 4-lane traffic.
That's true.
Going 45 miles an hour and people not indicating. I don't know how they do it. Forget about sharing the road and them being subject to the same laws. Why would you want to be on that road? Why would you want to put yourself in that danger? I see people do stuff to other vehicles that's going 55, 65 miles an hour. What chance do you stand on that two wheels? I can't do it, bro.
Well, listen,
more power to them.
Hey, in the previous episode, we interviewed Sheriff Chitwood, and he's one of them people that ride bikes, and he rides on roads like there's a road called Pioneer Trail, which has no sidewalks.
Yeah,
it doesn't have a bike lane, and also another road called
Tomoka
Farms Road. No bike lane. It's a small road, right?
Well, it does. It has that white little line.
No,
that white line. It's tiny. It's this white little line that they claim is a bike lane. He's the sheriff of the county. Yeah, and he's been hit twice. Even
that's what I'm saying.
He got hit. He had a hit and run.
Yeah, and they caught the lady. They went to her house.
If they hit that badge ain't doing nothing.
Hey, listen, if they hitting the sheriff, they must feel like I feel. Get them all.
Listen, he could be in his sheriff cat suit riding that bike. It ain't gonna make a difference, all right? Because these people don't care.
They feel how I feel. Get them out of the way. Just get rid of them. Spy Hunter. Remember Spy Hunter?
You ain't hitting nobody. I got my Spy Hunter.
Hey, Ray, I got one question for you.
Yeah.
Does your client ride a bike?
I hope so. Nah, I'm just playing.
Yo, have a great week.
Yes, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, Jeff.